There's certain situations in life where there's certain things, certain ways you behave, there's certain things you say, there's certain things you do to be empathetic. And if you do these things or do those things, you're gonna end up going a little bit farther than you even thought you could be. With my time as a kid growing up, I just always remember a conversation or two I had with my great grandmother about common sense. I just remember her talking about that, telling me, I can teach you how to do something, I can teach you how to cook, I can teach you how to make your bed, but if you ain't got no home training and common sense, what good are you gonna be?
Who are you?
I am Daud Haseeb. I was born in the big city of Goldsboro, North Carolina. Currently I reside in Alpharetta, Georgia with my beautiful wife and my two daughters. My career started out in technology back in the 90s. I was an IT person. In 2004, I was a recruiter because I truly started a passion that I had for in staffing and recruiting and helping people find jobs. And that's kind of where the idea of this book came into play. And
what did you write?
I wrote a book on emotional intelligence, specifically in the workplace, with the idea of helping people unlock their career growth, increase their earning potential. Some of my career things that I did, I lacked common sense in some of those. I even think about when I used to load trucks GPS in college. I used emotional intelligence to keep a job that I rarely attended towards the end because I wanted to get fired.
Hello and welcome to Three Questions. I am Pierce from Van Dunk Edits, and this is the series where I have conversations with people who have written something that you need to read. I have here with me Daud Haseeb, who has written something incredible for anybody who's looking to level up in the workplace. And I have with me Andrew Edward from my team at Van Dunk Edits, one of my amazing, illustrious editors. And we are just excited to be here to talk to Daud. How you doing today, Daud?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
Very good. How about you, Andrew?
Doing all right. Glad to be here. Glad to have Daud here.
So I'll go ahead and get started with our first question, Daud. Who are you? And you can answer that any way that you want. Who are you?
Well, I am Daud Haseeb. I was born in the great big city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, 54 years ago. And currently I reside in Alpharetta, Georgia, with my beautiful wife and my two daughters. And I like to think I'm a transformed man over the last few years of evolution. I'm pretty excited about the journey that I've taken the last 6 months or so. My career started out in technology back in the 90s, and for 10 years, I was an IT person. And then in 2004, I fell and hit my head, and I woke up and I was a recruiter. But it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I truly started a passion that I had for in staffing and recruiting and helping people find jobs. And that's kind of where the idea of this book came into play, and the experiences that I had, growing up as a youngster, as well as that I've had in a corporate career. So that's who I am. Again, some people say I'm a little too serious, but I'm a work in progress. I'm a testament to you're never too old to learn, and I'm on this journey right now to learn and do new things, such as writing a book. So
absolutely. Well, you did an excellent job with that new thing. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but my parents met at one of the companies that you worked for. I don't know if you're comfortable saying the previous companies that you worked for.
Sure. Which one?
Yeah, IBM.
Okay.
My parents met at IBM, so reading about your experiences there made me think, oh, that's what they were going through back in the 90s.
Yeah, 93. My first job out of college, I majored in my first few years in information systems because I wanted to get in computers. But the first 3 years or so, indirectly, I ended up majoring in something called fun. And so let's just say that, I tell it to a lot of young men I mentor, grades are very important. However, they don't define you, because I graduated with a 2.3 GPA, but my first job out of college was at IBM. And it was mainly because of I took advantage of a couple of things, but I understood people, and I utilized my people skills to talk my way into a job. And this is when you apply for jobs via newspapers. So it's very interesting. So yeah, that was my first job right out of school, 2.3 and all. So,
Right. That's right. Yeah. Me and Andrew, we went to undergrad together, and I don't know how much fun you majored in, Andrew. I feel like me and you were book kids.
Yeah, yeah. I was a commuter, so I just came and did my business, and I went back home.
yeah, I needed to be a commuter.
So let's move on to the second question, though. What did you write?
So, um, I wrote a book on emotional intelligence. And, at for many years, I never really knew what that was. I had heard of it of recent, but I always, from going with my time as a kid growing up, I just always remember adults, specifically a conversation or two I had with my great grandmother about common sense. And all through my career, I'd be in situations, including myself, where I'd be like, "Oh my God, that was dumb of me. Why did I say that?" Or why did I do that? So it wasn't all about other people. It was about mostly with me and figuring out that, hey, there's certain situations in life where there's certain things, certain ways you behave. There's certain things you say. There's certain things you do to be empathetic. And if you do these things or do those things, you're going to end up going a little bit farther than you even thought you could be. So when I when I was challenged to do this book, I was in a leadership program. It was actually an assignment, and my mom passed away a couple of years ago. She was an English teacher, so I've always been right-brained. I'm not a math guy. The only thing about math I like is counting the money that I try to make, right? So, but I've always been able to write and do things and even without outlines, just do them at the last minute. But this was a challenge that we didn't have to do. There's about 25 to 30 guys. And of those 25, 30, I think probably five of us have done it. And so what started out as a challenge that I quit and put down for a little bit was this book. And it's about emotional intelligence, specifically in the workplace, and with the idea of helping people unlock their career growth and increase their earning potential. Right. So it's, a lot of research is done on it, but it's written in my very easygoing style that I think people will be able to relate to. Some may think it's a little elementary, but it's the way I think and present things. So
I really appreciated about it that laser focus on the workplace. I've read things about emotional intelligence. I've heard about emotional intelligence, but working with you and understanding the concepts that you wanted to communicate, me and Andrew helping get that onto the page in a compelling way, and the way that you storytell, it all came back to here's how emotional intelligence can advance your career. And it is both practical and narratively engaging. And I really appreciated that really steering the emotional intelligence conversation towards here's how you can use this at work. Really appreciated that. And I find that to be unique.
it was important for me in my journey now of, kind of what I'm doing in my career and having a regular 9 to 5, but also having, other ventures, and doing coaching. It was really important for me to do something that I had done, right? Like, some people, and there's a lot of people that, it's kind of like, it's the concept of having, if you want to be somewhere or do something, you target someone that has done what you're looking to do. Right. So, I can career coach on how to find a job. I've done that. I can career coach on a few other things about personal life stuff. But there's one thing that I know I've done because I see the output, which is, now am I CEO of a Fortune 500 company? No, but that's because I choose not to be. Mm-hmm. I've gone to that path of where I wanted to get, which is a certain dollar amount. But more importantly, the freedom that I have with that to allow me to do something on my own where I am the CEO. And when I get tired of that other piece, I'll leave. Right. And so all of that, me getting to that point at that other place, from the IBMs to the MCIs to the other jobs I've had, whether they were short-term contracts, me switching from being an IT guy who did not like IT, but was a Microsoft certified engineer, had multiple certifications, hated it, that I was only doing it for the money, to taking a $70,000 pay cut to become a recruiter while teaching IT stuff still. It was all, I was in those positions mostly because of what I called or felt was common sense and empathy, which is now branded as emotional intelligence. So um, it was important for me to write something at this level to where I can say, hey, I can show someone or talk to someone about doing that. And I'm still on a journey because I still have many far goals to go, even at my ripe age.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the part that I love most about this book is the way that you frame it around the lessons from your great grandmother. You spoke just a little bit already, but just paint that picture, that character for anybody who's watching this to make them want to pick up the book, because that was really that was a really beautiful touch.
Yeah. So I thought back, to early times. I wanted to make it, it's an informational book, but I wanted to make it kind of like a narrative kind of book. I don't know if that's what the right term for it is. So I thought about my mom. Again, she passed away 2 years ago, and she was a huge influence, and she'll be future wise in a reference in those books. But I was taken back to the one time when I still have the mark on my left hand. It's my middle finger, so I won't use it. But there's a mark, a burn I have. It's still there. And it's kind of like a silhouette. It looks like a tree or a person with a big hairdo. But I burned my hand picking up a straightening iron. And that's, I'm in the 70s. I'm a 70s baby. So back then, they used these hot combs to straighten out your hair. And I had a head of hair. And even when I was a little boy, my grandmother would straighten it and cornrow it like, in cornrows. And I'll never forget, I for some reason, I think I was 4, 3, 5. I picked it up and, of course, burned my hand. And I'll never forget, and I don't know if it was that particular instance, but I just remember her telling me, and it's a long story, but my name used to be Tyree when I was born. She said, Tyree, boy, I can teach you home training, but I can't teach you common sense. Roughly to that. She said it more colorfully, I think.
Yeah.
And I could see her brown eyes and her beautiful hair, gray, just telling me that. And she often would say things like that to me. And that's what, when I talk to young men that I'm mentoring or anybody else, I often used to always use the term common sense. So when I came across emotional intelligence, I was like, man, that reminds me of more. And that's what we called her, more. And I couldn't remember. I didn't know how to spell it. I just know it's called more. I asked my aunt. I was like, "How do we spell more?" But I just remember the brief time that I lived with her. My mom was in college. I like to call it an accidental college baby. But my grandma, with my great grandmother, and up until like 4 or 5. And I just remember little snippets of things. The one time I got stung by bees, so I used to like try to catch bees and put them in the same jar as butterflies. And she was just like, boy, you gonna learn, And I just remember her talking about that, telling me I can teach you how to do something. I can teach you how to cook. I can teach you how to make your bed. But if you ain't got no home training and common sense, what good are you going to be? And,
Right.
and some of my career things that I did, I lacked common sense in some of those things. Now, I will admit I observed a lot of other things, but I like to try to always look inwardly first. And so it started with me, even from college, not doing what I need to do grade wise, but just even understanding, okay, well, I've created this obstacle, I need to create a pathway to using my internal common sense, since I'm not using my book knowledge. Right. So when I thought about the book, she was my original impact when I think about those things that influenced me, even though I didn't think about them when I was going through those things, looking back on my reflections now, it was a huge, she put it in my brain, and it has resonated subconsciously into this book.
Absolutely. And I feel like this book is, in one sense, you taking that ancestral wisdom and sharing it with the world. So there's a really beautiful continuance of your great grandmother's words moving through you into whoever picks up this book. I think there's a real beauty about that.
Yeah.
Real
Thanks.
beauty about that.
Thanks.
Andrew, what did you appreciate about emotional intelligence in the workplace as we picked through it together?
I was just about to say that, it's funny that as you moved through your career and actually learned of the term emotional intelligence, you realized that it's been something you had been inadvertently practicing the entire time. And I think that people who pick up your book might find that to be the same thing too. They might learn about this term and might realize, oh, I've been kind of inadvertently practicing this as well. And Daud has finally put a name to it that I didn't know existed. And the fact that you represented it in such a personal way, I don't doubt that many others have similar experiences from their mentors or their elders in their own families that who had these odd way of conveying their wisdom to us. And I think you're going to help a lot of people kind of act as a gateway to research more about emotional intelligence, because they have now realized that they've been practicing it for a long time in their careers, just like you have.
Yeah. It's and there's so much more. Like I'm almost, it's weird because I'm almost ready to do another one because there's the sources that I used. They were presented in a good way. I like the way they were presented, but it made me even want to learn even more about it. And I've been studying more, reading a lot of books on it. I just wanted to, I look at it like when I used to teach IT classes, right? I was never the most technical, never, ever. I had those certifications, but you didn't need to have me in your server room fixing anything by myself. I needed to collaborate, right? But I was really good at showing people how to understand the concepts so they could pass a test, right? And so that's how I look at this topic. And it's not that it's so overwhelmingly technical. I mean, I won't say it's common sense, right? But when it's written by PhDs and other learned people, presenting it in a way where I think it comes across in a manner where people can understand it from a layman's term. And don't get me wrong. So like I've already having set in motion to getting more credentials specifically with it. But I like being able to make it relatable to the everyday person,
Yeah.
right? Whether you're working at McDonald's flipping burgers or whether you're a CEO or a director, managing people. Or hey, if you're even running a book publishing company, right?
That's right.
Or a household, or your kids, right? Which is the personal side is a little bit different. But it's just I'm just glad that it has gotten a term in EQ versus IQ. I always felt that. You don't have to have a certain personality. You don't have to be easygoing or whatever, like I am. But the people that led me or led organizations, the ones that seem to have what is termed EQ, were even and mixed with their IQ, were phenomenal. And you can teach IQ, right? But we're seeing you can teach EQ as well, but it's a lot harder because it deals with the individual, their mindset, and how they were born. And just like I mentioned earlier, we talked about some Myers-Briggs Enneagram. You have to figure out a way to, as I call, hack yourself.
Yeah.
Which that might be my next book. How to hack
That's
yourself.
The sequel. That's the sequel. Don't give too much away. That's the sequel.
I know.
So let's move to the third question.
Yep.
And we've already touched on this a bit as we've gone, but why should somebody pick up emotional intelligence in the work?
If you're looking for a quick read, an introduction, that's what it's meant to be. It's like I met you at a coffee shop and hey, what do you do? And it's an overview spiel, and it's gonna scratch the surface. If it can get you to thinking about your individual workplace, what you want to accomplish, whether it be promotions, whether it be just having peace and harmony in the workplace, right? It's not all just about making more money or, that's fine, right? But peace and harmony, right? If you're trading time for money, right, then you want to at least enjoy and have peaceful times in that 8 hours or whatever hours you're working. Again, it doesn't matter what you do, loading trucks at UPS. I even think about when I used to load trucks at UPS in college. I used emotional intelligence to keep a job that I rarely attended towards the end because I wanted to get fired. It was crazy, but they wouldn't fire me because they liked my work ethic and um, so it anyone that just is just really wanting to, and it's not just about work, it could be in an organization, it could be in nonprofits, any place where you're having to complete a task that's dealing with work, getting something done, it'll help you at least start to see, kind of navigate to whatever goals you're looking to go to. It'll scratch the surface.
Absolutely. Yeah, you very nicely bring in the EQ, the emotional intelligence concepts. You reference places where people can dig deeper into those concepts, and you really focus the time on, all right, let's bring these to bear on the workplace. And you very clearly point people in the direction of, all right, if you want to become an expert in this stuff, take my text, use it as an introduction, and it's going to launch you into a deeper journey on emotional intelligence in a really good way. And a final question that we like to ask folks who have worked with us specifically: how did Van Dunk Edits help you in this process of getting this book out into the world?
Well, like a good DJ mixer, you just kind of mix it in with your last comment. You guys, I tell my team, my team this all the time, that I'm a head guy. I have all this stuff in my head, right? And getting it out on paper was a challenge. I read a lot now. You help me kind of formulate that stuff, even down to the logistics of like the format of citing and I mean, it was phenomenal. It was I didn't I didn't know what to expect because only then my sister, who is into books and she writes books and stuff, I didn't know the process. And the biggest challenge was, how am I going to get this information out of my head in a way that doesn't look like one of my crazy term papers that I used to write in school, right? Where it's like, I used to hate quoting things. I used to hate footnotes, and you guys kind of, I don't know the term. I know sometimes there's a term called do it yourself, DIY. It was, you guys really helped me with that. And it made it to where it wasn't something that I dreaded doing, like at the start, which is why I quit at first, right? So I had plenty of people say, hey man, you can do this on your own. Amazon, you can do it on your own. You don't need to get anybody. No, I would not do that again. Andrew was like, it's kind of like my mom going through my papers, right? Editing, it made it it turned something that I was only doing it because it was an assignment, to then I was like, well, this isn't important, but I had to finish it. And then finishing it, like, I'm actually talking about doing some more, right? Let's see how this goes. But you guys made it. It was good. It was good. I appreciate good service, and it was just good. It was a pleasant experience for something I didn't think was going to be pleasant for me. Mm-hmm. So
that means a lot. And I can certainly say for myself, and I think Andrew would agree, it was a lot of fun working on this project, really fun working with you just as a person. We enjoy you and enjoy the work that you're putting out into the world, and I find it important, and people are really going to benefit from reading what you've written.
Appreciate it. Time will tell.
That's right. Any final thoughts, comments, Andrew?
No, just to reiterate what Pierce said. We love putting out work that we think is important to the world, and it was a pleasure working with you, Daud, and like your constant communication, your quick turnarounds. We love people who are passionate about the work that they're doing. They actually believe in it, and that certainly shows in your work.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So for anybody watching this, please pick up a copy of Emotional Intelligence in the Workplace. The link is in the description to this video, and all of the links to Daud's other work is in the description as well. And join us next time for 3 questions, the next time we find somebody who's written something that you need to read that we can have a conversation with.